Hi, I'm Dr. Elliot Adam from ElliotOracle.com. I'm also the author of the award winning Fearless Tarot and the newly released Tarot in Love, Consulting the Cards and Matters of the Heart, which is out now from Llewellyn Books and is available online. I'll leave a link in the description box to those books. And it is time for this month's astrological Tarotscope for every sign. I'm going to begin with Aries and I'm going to end with Pisces. And we're going to just pick two cards for each sign and see what the energy might be like for each sign as we go through July 2023. So I'm going to start with Aries first. So, if you're an Aries or have a lot of Aries in your chart, this first card is going to be where it's best for you to place your focus this next month of July. And the card we get is the Page of Pentacles reversed. Now, upright, the Page of Pentacles is the student of the tarot. And when he comes up reversed, he could indicate that you're repeating a lesson. There might be something that you're just returning to over and over again. And you might just think this next month, like, oh, geez, this again, I've already learned this, I've already done this. And yet the Page of Pentacles reversed is telling you to move forward and to get the lesson, to complete the lesson. This could be a time when you're really learning about other people, and you might have to place your focus as well on learning what they've shown you. It's as Maya Angelou used to say, when people show you who they are, believe them the first time. So, Aries, this might be a time when you're really just kind of letting it sink in. Okay, this isn't changing. This is the same way every time. The Page of Pentacles reversed on a personal level can also indicate that this is a wonderful month for you to get back to basics, get back to your original mission statement, or to return to your fundamentals and to clean that up. And that's really going to help things moving forward. The advice from your inner wisdom, if you're an Aries for July 2023, is actually the High Priestess card. And when we see the High Priestess card, she's the messenger of your inner instincts, your intuition. The High Priestess could be helping you with that repeated life lesson that the Page of Pentacles reversed is talking about. The way through, the way to get past the lesson might be to listen to your own inner wisdom. And instead of listening to what other people have to say about your life or what they think you should be doing, the High Priestess could just indicate that this is your time to really get quiet, to get centered, and to reevaluate from within what's going to be best for you. The High Priestess will lead you out of any confusing situation if you can get quiet and calm. And so I just feel that this is going to be a profound month of learning for Aries, but there's also a sense that there is something that's returning in your life. It's a repeated lesson, and it's time to complete it. Next, we're going to go into the astrological sign of Taurus. So, if you're a Taurus or have a lot of Taurus in your chart, this first card is going to be where it's best for you to place your focus in July. And the card we see here is the Lover's card. And as you might imagine, the Lover's card can absolutely have to do with love relationships. This could be a time when you're really focused on connections with others. The Lover's is also a card that governs cooperation or harmony. And I feel, Taurus, that you're going to make your biggest breakthroughs this next month when you're collaborative, asking for help, or even making connections with others. This could also be a wonderful month for romance or connecting with your significant other. So, if there's an opportunity to get away together or to meet new people, this is a wonderful month for romance. But for me, the Lover's card is a card that transcends just lovey-dovey love. It really has to do with the different aspects of ourself. We see the angel and the woman and the man on the card, and each archetype represents a different part of our psyche. The man on the card can represent your logical, rational mind that's looking for facts, looking to the external world. The woman on the card can represent your emotions, your feelings, what's going on internally under the surface. And she's looking up at that angel, which represents your superconsciousness, your higher self, the wiser, more eternal part of you. And all three of these aspects of the self have to work in harmony with each other. Otherwise, it may feel like something is fragmented or isn't really cooperating internally. And so this could be a time as well, Taurus, where it's not just about developing relationships with other people, but also clearing out the energy within your own heart and really compromising between what your head wants, with what your heart wants, and then also with what your spirit needs right now. This is going to be a time to really look within. The advice from your inner wisdom, if you're a Taurus, for this month of July is the Six of Pentacles. And this is a card of entertaining angels unaware. On your path are people that are going to enter this next month that are going to seem a little unusual on the surface, and yet you don't want to dismiss them outright. There's a light in their eye. There's something unusual. There's something that makes them a bit even eccentric. And these are angels unaware. These are going to be people who are appearing on your path that are offering you great wisdom. And you're going to want to accept that. When I couple this card with the Lover's card, this could also be a card of benefactors or support that comes from relationships, help from others. As a rule, for the month of July, Taurus, you're really going to want to look at others and see the sacred from within them, because that's going to be what really helps you move forward, because they're going to offer that assistance that you're most needing. Next, we're going to go into the astrological sign of Gemini. So if you're a Gemini or have a lot of Gemini in your chart, this first card is going to be where it's best for you to place your focus for July. And we got the Nine of Wands. And this card shows a figure, he's been bumped and bruised by life. He's got some bandages on his head, and yet he's still standing. The Nine of Wands, Gemini, is telling you that you're resilient, that you faced all comers and you're still standing. The figure on the card has also taken these 9 wands and he's built a boundary around himself. He's built a fence. What this indicates is that he's wiser now. Because of those painful life experiences, they've taught him where he needs to reinforce his boundaries. And so too with you, Gemini, this next month, your boundaries might be tested, and yet you're needing to stay firm in them. You're needing to learn from what your limits were in the past, what might have even hurt you in the past, and really create that boundary so that it isn't interrupting you moving into the future. The Nine of Wands is also a card of being a survivor or overcoming an obstacle. So even though this next month might have a really difficult challenge to it, this card says that you're absolutely going to persevere. Next is going to be some advice from your inner wisdom for the month of July if you're a Gemini. And the card we get here is the Nine of Swords. And the Nine of Swords is telling you not to look at worst case scenarios this next month. Just because something's difficult or challenging or it's pressing back at you doesn't mean it's hopeless. It's very interesting. We have 2 nines here, the Nine of Wands and the Nine of Swords. And 9 is that number of almost complete. It's akin to the Hermit card in the tarot, which has to do with introspection, sometimes withdrawal, sometimes seeking calm or peace. The thing that makes the Nine of Swords such a difficult card is it represents thoughts that are running amok, and they're based on fear. They're worried about all the terrible things that are going to happen. They're giving you all this anxiety about what might take place. And so when I see this card, you might be thinking, well, what if this happens? And what if that happens? And the Nine of Swords could be saying, and what if it doesn't happen? The Nine of Wands is saying the past, even if it's hurt you, has taught you how to be wise and how to respond to any situation. And boundaries are going to be needed to protect your mental health this next month. So I just feel for Gemini, it's important to know that you're almost at the completion of a cycle. After 9 is 10, the first 2-digit number. And when we add those digits 1 and 0 together, we begin at 1 again. So 9 is that last single digit number, that last leg of the journey. And it just looks like there's something that's getting wrapped up for you, Gemini. And you're needing to not let your anxiety, your fear about the future talk you into this sense of hopelessness. And the last thing I'll say about the Nine of Swords is the best antidote for this card is sunlight. Talk your fears aloud, seek out support from the people that you do trust, and watch how they start to evaporate. Also, Nine of Swords is just telling you that thoughts aren't necessarily facts. And so you might need to allow yourself to hold on to the possibility that things could get better. Next, we're going to go into the astrological sign of Cancer. So if you're a Cancer or have a lot of Cancer in your chart, this next card is going to indicate where it's best to place your focus for the month of July. And happy birthday, by the way. First card we see here is the Fool card. And the Fool, Cancer, is telling you to travel, to try something new, to go into a new experience. The Fool is also not afraid of looking like a fool. He totally goes out into the world and he takes a chance on himself. And so, Cancer, I just feel like life is going to open up for you this next month if you're opening yourself up to it. This is also a card of innocence and fun and freedom. So, if something's been feeling stifling up until now, this could be a time for you to get an escape. The Fool card is also just telling you not to take yourself too seriously this next month, and also not to take too seriously the judgments or opinions of others. Cancer is an extremely sensitive sign. It can really hang on to those emotional, nonverbal cues that are coming from others. And yet, with this card, I just feel like you're going to want to let it roll off your back. I think this month is going to be a time where you want to focus on fun and also on your freedom. The next card is going to be some advice from your inner wisdom for this next month. And we get the Four of Swords, which is a very restorative card. Traditionally, it's associated with rest, solitude, exile, retreat. And it's also a card that says it might be a time for a time out, to take a step back. The Four of Swords is also a card of recuperation or healing. And that healing is going to take place when you're calm, when you're at peace. I just feel with these two cards, this would be a great month for a vacation. So even if you can just get away to a little place, it's going to be well worth it. It's time to recharge your batteries. And also, the Four of Swords is just telling you that a calm mind is a powerful mind. And so if you've been feeling stressed out or emotionally overwhelmed, this card is really telling you to take care of yourself, find your calm, and all will go well. Next, we're going to go into the astrological sign of Leo. So if you're a Leo or have a lot of Leo in your chart, this first card is going to be where it's best for you to place your focus for July. And we got the Moon card. The moon is telling you that your instincts are pulling at you. You might also be just a little bit more sensitive this next month. It might feel like there's this deep emotional undercurrent that keeps pulling at you. And the important thing to do with this card is to listen to it, to express it. The moon is an extremely psychic card. This could be a month where you're really tuned into other people. And you might need to know where the line is, where they end and where you begin. The moon card could also indicate that you're getting messages from spirit and you're starting to see that show up in the real world in your daily life. The moon is also a card that is telling you that you want to acknowledge those inner emotions and feelings, because the moon in Latin is luna, where we get our word in English lunatic from. So when we ignore what our heart is telling us, what our inner self has been pulling at us all along to acknowledge, we start to feel crazy or unlucky or like things are just not working out as well. And so I just feel for July, Leo, stop and listen to your instincts. They are going to guide you. And also stop and express your feelings, no matter what they might be. Don't bottle them up, or they could explode at a later time. Next is going to be advice from your inner wisdom if you're a Leo for the month of July. And we got the Ten of Cups, which is the card of happy endings. Here we see the family and they're celebrating their home in the distance. And you got the kids dancing and there's a rainbow in the sky. And although this card is very idyllic, what it really does indicate with the rainbow is that there was a storm before this. And so too with you, Leo, it's like you just stepped out of a storm. You're starting to see your own happy ending. This is also a card of gratitude, acknowledging the gift that's right in front of you and not picking it apart too much. This might be a time to let your hair down, or also just to acknowledge that some things are going well and it's okay. This is an idyllic, harmonizing card. And issues about home or also gratitude or relationships or partnerships are going to be very important this next month. And so you want to open your heart to them. Also, the last thing I'll say about the Ten of Cups is that it is a happy card. It really does indicate that there's something to celebrate this next month, and you're going to want to open your heart to it fully. Next, we're going to go into the astrological sign of Virgo. So if you're a Virgo or have a lot of Virgo in your chart, this first card is going to be where it's best for you to place your focus for July. The card we get here is the Tower card. And a lot of people resist the Tower card because, well, look at it. It looks frightening. There's people falling from the tower. There's a lightning bolt. But with the tarot, it's always symbolism. This isn't literal catastrophe or disaster necessarily. This is something that's going on internally. And you might already be feeling this tower moment. The tower will come up when the earth feels like it's shaking. Something doesn't feel 100% stable at this time. And instead of just plugging your ears to it and going, la, 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 nothing's happening, I'm actually fine, the tower card could be indicating for you that you need to acknowledge the thing that's really bothering you and to face or confront it. Once you acknowledge the problem, the shaky foundation, that lightning bolt represents an epiphany, an understanding. And so the tower breaks you out of a state of denial. If you've been accepting something that's subpar and it's just the status quo, and you just think it just can't change because it's always been this way, the tower is about to awaken you to the fact that that doesn't need to be that way anymore. And this is a very cathartic card. For me, it's one of the most healing cards in the tarot because it sweeps away all the BS. It gets you back in touch with what the truth is. And once you sweep away that old ruined structure that has become a prison for you and rebuild a new structure based on your own truth, you're going to find that you're unshakable and that you're stable moving forward. The advice from your inner wisdom with this tower moment for Virgo this next month is the Six of Wands. And the Six of Wands is a card of achievement, but also self-esteem. When I see the Six of Wands next to the tower, this could be a time when you're really reforming or reshaping your opinion of yourself. The Six of Wands is telling you to promote yourself, to put your best foot forward. It's telling you to allow other people to see you clearly for what your gifts are. If you're not being acknowledged and you're feeling like you're trapped in something where you're just frustrated, this Six of Wands is saying it's time to toot your own horn. This might be a time to promote yourself or to call attention to your gifts. And so Virgo is notorious for fixing things from behind the scenes, putting others first, being of service. And this Six of Wands is a little bit more of a Leo energy where it's like, look at me. This is what I can do. I can fix that. And I feel like a little bit more of that energy is going to be helpful for you this next month, Virgo. Otherwise, you're just going to feel kind of like you're stuck in this trap tower and it feels shaky and you're not knowing when the sun is going to rise again. Six of Wands is telling you to be confident. And even if it means it feels like you're pretending you're confident or you're acting boldly before you're 100% sure, I think that that's going to be the best way forward for you. With these cards, there is a reformation process going on with your self-esteem. And you need to just know from me that you're worth it. You deserve better. Next, we're going to go into the astrological sign of Libra. So if you're a Libra or have a lot of Libra in your chart, this first card is where it's best to place your focus for July. And the card we get here is the Five of Cups. And the Five of Cups has to do with our perspective. You see this figure, he's gloomily looking at the three spilled cups, two are standing behind him. And what this can indicate that it's going to be really easy, Libra, this next month for you to focus on the flaws, to focus on the losses, the disappointments, instead of the gains. This is a card of mental trances. And what it can indicate is that hours can go by in your day if you're just ruminating about problems and not seeing the solutions that are going to rob you of valuable time. This card is saying that although you have been experiencing some disappointments or even some emotional losses, all is not lost. There's still two cups standing. And if the figure on the card was to turn around and look at the two cups that are standing, he'd see that bridge that's over the troubled waters. And so I feel like it's time to turn away from losses, disappointments, or challenges and turn toward solutions, turn toward the thing that's actually working in your life and build on that. It might also be a month where it's just important to shift your energy flow from the things that are fruitless, not working out for you, to the things that are. Find the thing in your life this next month that is working for you and put your whole heart into it and watch how things change around. The advice from your inner wisdom, if you're a Libra, for this next month of July, is the Seven of Pentacles reversed. And when this card comes up, it indicates that you might be feeling impatient with something. You're just wanting to see it be over with. Seven of Pentacles reverse can also indicate that you're just looking at all the work that you have to do and you're feeling like, oh my gosh, how do I even start? It's just so much. And yet it's important for you to not look at the whole conglomeration of all the stuff that's going on around you this next month, but to just handle things bit by bit. I'm going to tell you the number one word that everyone hates to hear in a tarot reading, which is patience. Things are still developing, they're still growing, and you don't want to look at things and just absently say, well, I guess that's not working. I'm just frustrated with that, or why can't I get this to grow? But instead to really focus on the seedlings that are starting to sprout. The Seven of Pentacles reversed is telling you to keep an eye on the long game and also to get to work with things. If you're avoiding your responsibilities or the work that needs to happen, this card is telling you to get back in the saddle. I also feel like as we go through this whole month, there's a transformative time where you're going to start to come into your power again concerning your work. And it's more toward the end of the month. And so I just feel like keep plugging away at it and things will resolve. Next, we're going to go into the astrological sign of Scorpio. So if you're a Scorpio or have a lot of Scorpio in your chart, this first card is going to be where it's best for you to place your focus for July. And we got the Two of Swords, which is the card of in between. The woman on this card is in between the sky and the sea. She's in between the new moon and the full moon. She's also balanced between the two swords on the card. And this is saying that in your life, Scorpio, this is a month where you're going to be very aware of how you're in an in-between moment. You're not quite in your future life. You're definitely not in the past either. You're kind of in this weird amorphous limbo. And it may make you feel uneasy because the woman's blindfolded on the card. She can't see what's coming next. And yet you might want to take a lesson from the page of her book, Scorpio. Look at how serene she is. She's calm. She's centered. She's patient. She's letting things play out. Because this woman understands that the in-between times are the magical times where things start to shift in your own life. And I'm feeling that for you, Scorpio. It's like you're not quite in your future, but you're not in a past either. You're in this really magical place where things are starting to turn and they're also starting to shift. However, you need to really tune inward to your own inner wisdom to really allow you to transcend your fear of the changes that are around you. The advice from your inner wisdom for this next month of July is actually the Star card. And the Star is the card of hope in the tarot. It appears after some of the most difficult cards in the major arcana, after the Hangman, after the Death card, after the Devil, and after the Tower. We get to the Star. And it reminds you of the hope, the new beginning. And I just feel for you, Scorpio, that there is hope. There's renewal. But you're needing to replenish yourself. The woman on the card is pouring some of the water on the dry land and some of the water back in that pool. And for me, that can indicate that it's time to replenish you. You've been giving to the collective or to the needs of others. This card is associated with humanitarian acts, and yet you're also needing to pour some of that water on the dry land next to you, the part of your life that feels parched or neglected. And I think if you do that, things are going to flourish again. Also, the Star is the card of friendships. So if you're not aware of what the solution is, or if you just need extra support, it's time to turn to your friends. Next, we're going to go into the astrological sign of Sagittarius. So if you're a Sagittarius or have a lot of Sagittarius in your chart, this first card is going to be where it's best for you to place your focus for July. And the card we get here is the Page of Swords. And the Page of Swords is defensive in the card. He's got his sword upraised. He's expecting an attack. He's expecting something bad to happen. And this is really preventing him from relaxing. I feel for the Page of Swords, for Sagittarius this next month, it might be a month where you feel on edge. You might be feeling like you're having to respond to all these random things. The Page of Swords is also a master at rationalizing his true feelings away. He'll say, oh, I don't really feel like that. I'm fine. I'm actually okay. And all the while, there's this emotional breakthrough that's waiting to happen for him just by expressing his feelings. I feel, Sagittarius, that you're not used to being vulnerable and that this next month, the breakthrough is going to come for you when you do ask for help, when you do lower the defenses, and when you do allow that help in. The Page of Swords is also showing your intelligence. This could be a time when you have to problem solve or come up with a solution. But instead of assuming that you're the only one who has all the answers and knows the best possible way to do this, this card could say, get a second opinion. Or better yet, ask for some help or support. The advice from your inner wisdom, if you're a Sagittarius for the month of July, is another page, the Page of Cups. And how different these two pages are. Page of Swords takes everything personally, everything seriously. The Page of Cups, not one bit. He's the inner child of the tarot. He's innocent. He listens to his feelings. He's playful, and he just has fun. The Page of Cups could indicate that you're just a little bit more sensitive this next month, Sagittarius, and you're going to want to put some of those emotions into playful pursuits. This might also be a time where you're feeling like you're going through an emotional crisis where one part of you feels like it needs to control and be on the defense, and the other part of you needs to learn to let go and to let things flow. The Page of Cups governs the element of water, which is deeply cleansing and healing emotionally. And this might be a time where it's important for you to surrender to the current. And then finally, the fish on the card with the Page of Cups is a messenger from his own deeper inner wisdom. And so it's time for you as well to listen to that level, that layer under the ocean of the waters, beneath that layer of fear that's like an oil slick at the top of the waters, and to go deeper. Next, we're going to go into the astrological sign of Capricorn. So if you're a Capricorn or just have a lot of Capricorn in your chart, this first card is going to be where it's best for you to place your focus for July. And the card we get here is the King of Cups. And when I see this card, I think of the word anchor. We see the ship that's anchored in the background. We also see the king planted on his stone throne, anchored amidst the waves. And I feel for you, Capricorn, there's a lot of emotions going on. Might even have to do with the house, the home, the family, some personal obligations, something on an emotional level. And you're needing to stay anchored. You're needing to not get pulled out to those stormy seas. Also, we see the whale on the background of the King of Cups card. And the whale is the historian of the animal kingdom. It's the record keeper. This might be a time when you're also consulting your own records, your own inner data bank of wisdom, of all the experiences that you've gone through in your life up until this moment, to meet this moment at hand. The King of Cups is also kind. He holds the lotus scepter, indicating that his enlightenment comes from enlightening others through kindness, lightening the loads emotionally for other people through that simple act. And so I just feel like it's going to be a great month for Capricorn to be compassionate, to stay centered, to be in tune with your emotions, but not swept out to sea by them. The advice from your inner wisdom, if you're a Capricorn for the month of July, is temperance reversed. And when we see temperance reversed, the lesson of this card is nothing in excess, nothing too much. Panmetron ariston in ancient Greek. It means all things just enough is best. And so I feel for you, Capricorn, that this is going to be a time when you really want to not get excessive. Look at the part of your life that feels lopsided. Or even look at the part of your life that seems to trigger the most emotional response. It's time to counterbalance that with some practical action. It's interesting with both of these cards, there's figures with a foot toward the water, but also a foot on the firm foundation on the ground. And so I just feel like that balance between the emotional and the practical is also very important. And this also, Capricorn, could just indicate not to overindulge, not to do something excessively this next month. It's so important for you to find that balance. I just feel for Capricorn that this is also going to be a time about balance, checking within, and using your emotions and your physical body as a barometer for how much you can really take. Next, we're going to go into the astrological sign of Aquarius. So if you're an Aquarius or have a lot of Aquarius in your chart, this first card is going to be where it's best for you to place your focus for July. And the card we get here is the Queen of Cups reversed. Now, the Queen of Cups upright can be someone who's mature, is in her feelings, is handling them well, is able to transmute difficult emotions and allow them to flow. When the Queen of Cups comes up reversed, she could indicate that you're cutting off from your deeper feelings. And a lot of Aquariuses seem to have this gift. They can just shut their feelings off like an emotional light switch when they're too unpleasant or when they just don't want to deal with them anymore. And yet, that divorcing of the head from the heart can really cause a sense of imbalance. And so I feel for Aquarius that this is going to be a month for you where you want to be brave. You want to start to open your heart again. You might not even want to be a little bit more vulnerable or to let some feelings flow that might have been frozen on ice. The Queen of Cups is telling you to balance that, though, not to get completely swept away by your emotions, but it is time to let them defrost. And so if you've been cut off from your feelings, the Queen of Cups encourages you again to go through life and to let it in. To let it in your emotions, to cherish it. It's going to make these passing moments that are so fleeting feel like they have new importance. You're going to be present and aware for them instead of just letting life pass you by. Next is going to be advice from your inner wisdom if you're an Aquarius for this month of July. And we got the Three of Swords, which is giving me an idea of why Aquarius might want to shut off their feelings this next month. The Three of Swords, for me, rarely will indicate, watch out, your heart's about to go through turmoil or something terrible is about to happen to you. That's not how I read cards. That's why I wrote Fearless Tarot. The Three of Swords, for me, represents wounds that are already in the heart. And because of that pain, there might be this sense of trying to avoid that pain again. And it might be a time where it's easier to detach or numb or not acknowledge what's going on than to go within. However, the heart cannot heal with the shrapnel of those swords in it. And in order for the heart to rise and float above the clouds, light and free, and rejoin the light of the sun, it needs to extract the swords. And sometimes the only way to do that is by acknowledging the pain or even through forgiveness, forgiving yourself, forgiving others, letting something go that's been holding you back or burdening your emotions. I also just feel like you want to get real with your feelings this next month, especially with that Three of Swords. It isn't a time where you want to ignore them or pretend them away, but it's important that you're really being real or acknowledging what's going on. This is going to lead to wholeness and healing between head and heart. And so it's important to really just let your emotions have their due. It might also be a time when you need to rely on the support or help of others to get through this emotional time. And finally, we're going to go into the astrological sign of Pisces. So if you're a Pisces or have a lot of Pisces in your chart, this first card is going to be where it's best for you to place your focus this next month of July. And we got the Five of Pentacles. On a practical level, the Five of Pentacles can indicate that it's important for you to watch your money. This is called the poverty card in the tarot. So if there's a risky investment or you're thinking of blowing a bunch of money on something that's just a pleasurable pursuit for the short term, this card could say, think twice about that. You might need those resources later on. However, the Five of Pentacles is not always just about financial poverty. It's really a card of emotional poverty sometimes as well. It's a card that really tells you to acknowledge your sense of self-worth or worthiness. It's a card of energy wasting sometimes. It's like, it's time to acknowledge the part of your life where you're pouring all this energy into it and you're hoping to see this thing and nothing's coming back. It could be another person, a relationship, or even a project that just feels fruitless at this time. And it might be time to turn off the spigot to that focus of your life and to refocus your energy towards something that gives you something back. This card is always going to tell you to raise your standards. The next card for the astrological sign of Pisces is going to represent advice from your inner wisdom for the month of July. And we get the Six of Swords, which is like, it's time to move on. When I see Six of Swords next to the Five of Pentacles, it's like, it's time to move on from the energy waster. It's time to surrender to that natural current that's flowing elsewhere in your life. The figures on this card are leaving the rough waters behind them, the turbulent emotions of the past, and they're sailing toward the smooth waters. They're going toward the safe harbor. A new land of opportunity and possibility awaits you, Pisces, but you have to leave the thing that is just draining you dry. And it might feel frightening, but the Six of Swords is a card that says this is as easy as surrendering, letting go, getting into the boat, and allowing it to take you to your destination. There's a natural current flowing through your life, Pisces, this next month, and it's important for you to follow the lead of those waters. And that was this month's Tarotscope for every astrological sign. I do hope you enjoyed it. If you found this video useful, please do me a favor and share it with a friend. Also, like and subscribe to my channel. There's plenty of tarot stuff that I come up with all the time. Also, if you do enjoy my approach to tarot, which is focused on personal empowerment rather than fear, doom, and gloom, you might want to check out my book, Fearless Tarot. And also Tarot in Love, which is a really great resource for allowing you to give relationship readings to yourself and to others in a more empowered manner. I do hope you have a wonderful month, whatever you're doing, and I really do appreciate all your kind comments and support. So if you do want to also check me out for a one-on-one tarot session, go to elliotoracle.com and schedule a session with me there because I'd be glad to see you. Otherwise, take care, and I'll see you next time.